all boys aren't blue. Be bold, be brave, and be queer. Welcome to Disturbing the Peace with Pastor John Amanchukwu. Listen, I have been busy traveling this country from state to state. I believe I've been to 9 states by now. Listen, and I'm seeing something constantly across the board. People who are on school boards in this country have lost their minds. So before we get into this, I want you to go and ring that bell, click that bell, subscribe to follow me on my channel. This is my page at REVWU Truth. Follow me and support the work that I am doing. Now, I recently went to Pennsylvania and I spoke at the Pine Richland School Board meeting. And I talked about this book right here. It's a book by a man by the name of George M. Johnson. Now, it's called A Memoir Manifesto. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that this book is perverted. And evidently, if the book is perverted, then the author is all right. Now, briefly, I want to show you something. Take a look at this video and this post that George M. Johnson made.
We have 8 minutes left. Let's go.
And so as you see, if the author is supporting that, why in the world are we allowing this book into the public education system for children to read? I'll read the opening cover. It says, this is the story of George Matthew Johnson. This is a story for us all. In his groundbreaking young adult memoir, prominent writer and LGBTQIA plus and counting activist George M. Johnson shares both glorious and gut-wrenching memories of growing up black and queer in America. You know, people oftentimes talk about being black in America. Now it's black and queer in America. I guess that's intersectionality. But it says, from getting bullied at the age of 5 to visiting flea markets with his loving grandmother, to the thrilling frontiers of first relationships, Johnson's early life is a profound tapestry of everyday experiences. As a rising star in cultural criticism, Johnson turns his passion for exploring intersectional identities to his own life by weaving questions of gender, masculinity, brotherhood, family, and black joy throughout his stories. Posing the same questions to the reader, he invites us to consider what social influences have governed our own lives. Most central to Johnson's journey is how to reconcile his blackness and his queerness. Do you see where he's going? Identities that are sometimes at odds in his story. The answer is a reassuring testimony for queer men of color. So if you are queer, if you are gay, if you are a man who chooses to go after men, I'll just leave it there, then this book is for You. Now, at the end of the day, you know, we are a country of laws and we have freedoms, we have liberties. If you choose to support that lifestyle, if you choose to, you know, be a male and want to be with a male, be a female and want to be a female, you can do that. You know, I don't condone it. I don't endorse it. I don't want to promote that upon people. However, you have to ask yourself, if this author is creating this book, you know, as a guide and a roadmap for promoting this lifestyle to children, why are librarians and school board leaders comfortable with this? Is this the point of education today? To lead children down the slippery slope of embracing the LGBTQIA plus agenda? It says here, they are equal parts to a whole and perfectly designed person. All right. And so through his testimony, you will begin to understand and receive knowledge about for queer men of color. The bravery with which Johnson shares his story is breathtaking. All Boys Aren't Blue establishes his legacy as an essential voice among young adults for generations to come. Do y'all remember the refrain from the video that was released this summer where it said, we're queer, we're here, and we're coming for your children? I believe that we are so blind that we can't see what is taking place. All of this diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff is really the roadmap to indoctrinate our children. Now, I don't call it indoctrination often. I call it mental rape because it assaults the soul, it stains the brain, and it robs children of their innocence. And I say to every thinking parent out there, you have to question why this material is being provided to children. This has no place in the public education system. And when a child goes into a library, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, they shouldn't be met with books like this, nor should they hear from authors who really just want to push their agenda upon kids, you know, teach them to embrace these things and give them another way of living. You know, the title in and of itself says a lot. All boys aren't blue. So if all boys aren't blue, then what are they? You know, if you go to a gender reveal party, if it's a boy, they put blue confetti in the balloon and they pop the balloon and blue confetti comes out, right? Or if it's a girl, they put pink confetti in the balloon and they pop the balloon and pink confetti comes out. But I guess, you know, in this situation, if they pop the confetti for George M. Johnson and what he's trying to push, I guess, you know, if it's a boy, then pink confetti comes out. We're losing our mind in this country. Take a look at this video of me speaking in Pennsylvania.
Whether you are a Republican or Democrat, this really doesn't matter to me. If you view the issue of pornography being in the public school system as acceptable, you are part of the problem and don't get comfortable in that chair. I hope that you are voted out on November 7th if you support that kind of filth. I want to read from this book entitled All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, who has an agenda. It says on page 271, he asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself. But this was my rectum, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. And he was large. I had previously topped someone who clearly enjoyed it, but he had been enjoying anal sex before I ever came along. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. He then added more lube and tried, which felt better, but not by much. He began stroking in a stroking motion. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. He didn't last long inside of me, thankfully. He gave me a kiss before he pulled out. I didn't stay long, nor did I masturbate after. Page 266. As we kissed, he began unzipping my pants. He reached his hand down and pulled out my dick. He quickly went to giving me head. He then came up and asked me if I wanted to try on him. I said, sure. I began, and he said, watch your teeth. He didn't know I was a virgin, and I did my best to act dominant like my favorite porn star. His body felt great in my mouth. If that isn't pornographic to you, something's wrong with your soul and with your mind, and you have a mental disorder. Let me say this. C.S. Lewis once talked about chestless men. And as I look on this board today, I see a lot of men, more men than I normally see on school boards. There's a man, 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 and there's a man. And I want to appeal to the men that are on the board. No offense to the ladies. I honor all women. I have a wonderful wife and a wonderful daughter. But to the men who are on the board, what if someone sent this book to your son or daughter? Would you embrace it and accept it for Christmas? Or would you find the nearest trash can and throw it in the trash can? As a man, we protect, we speak up. And what's wrong with America today is that many of our men have been neutered by feminists. We have men who have lost the pair of balls, and they fear to speak up because they are threatened by what people will say. So I say to the men with chest to speak up against this filth and make sure that it's removed. And for the men without chest, I hope that you're voted out because you're nothing more than a beta male.
All right, so you were able to see it for yourself. Listen, I challenge those men who are on the school board. It was several men that were on that school board. And, you know, I haven't seen that many men on a school board yet as I travel the country. I've been to 9 states now, and I would like to see if those men are really going to move and adhere to many of the things that they said. Now, I have already received a notification that the school board chair put forth a motion, and he's going to work to bring this issue up again in the next school board meeting, which I believe is on November 13th. And they're going to challenge those books and find ways to assist parents in removing those books. You know what? That's a victory. I celebrate that. But listen to what C.S. Lewis said. He said, we make men without chest and expect of them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. We castrate and bid the geldings be fruitful. C.S. Lewis. And if there's anything that has destroyed this country and this nation, it's the fact that men have now become chestless. And if a man loses his chest, then that man loses his valor. And if there's anything that we need today, we need the school board leaders who are on that board, both male and female, but in particular here, the men, to have a chest, have some courage. Don't be so wimpy and spineless. You know that this is not acceptable. You know, I can't even read to you all of the filth that's in this book. If I did, you know, YouTube would probably take this video down, you know, but this book is very, very vulgar. It details anal sex through and through. And who wants to read about that as a kid? You know, that's something that floats your boat. If that's what you want to do, you do that separate and apart from everybody else. You know, do that at home, you know, wherever you do what you do, when you do what you do. But do we need to now comprise that information into a book and put it at the fingertips of kids? No, we don't. That's trash, and it belongs there, and it needs to stay there. Now, as I travel this country, I'm doing some heavy lifting. I'm speaking and addressing issues that many pastors won't touch with a 10-foot pole. I say to you, continue to pray for me. Labor alongside me. Maybe you can't get to the location where I'm speaking at, but you can pray for me. I ask also that you go to my website, erased.book.com. That's ERACED book.com. Support the work that I'm doing and also sign up to receive a weekly exclusive email from yours truly. As I go from state to state, we are addressing cultural Marxism. And cultural Marxism is the thing that has brought about the unraveling of America. Just think about it. In 1962 or 63, when a wicked witch by the name of Madeleine O'Hare lobbied to remove prayer from the education system, keep in mind that I repeat, zero Christian organizations came forward and brought forth a brief to stop her. Why has the church been so silent? When these issues come up, does your local pastor talk about it? Does your pastor ever address critical race theory and intersectionality? Or even racism? Because we know at the end of the day that racism is real. We know a lot of people like to race bait and race hustle. I say it this way, that racism is not a skin tone or a color, but racism is sin. And it's a sin that will send you to hell. But do we address these issues? Do we talk about queer theory? Do we talk about that? Do we talk about the fact that we are now redefining what a man is and what a woman is? Does your preacher talk about that? Or do you have to wait and hear from your TV preacher for someone to really say something that's addressing what's going on today? I say to you, take courage, remain vigilant, stand for truth, and whatever you do, don't stop disturbing the peace. God bless you. I'm signing off.